Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ambition and Grace Birthday Edition. If you didn't notice, I'm assuming by now we got a new podcast cover. I'm so freaking excited. That was definitely needed to happen, especially that the last profile cover thing was like 2 years old. So it was definitely time for a little update around here. I also finally got a new actual legit logo for Ambition and Grace as well. Um I'm trying to like stay on track here. I have a lot of things going on in my brain right now. We're about to leave for Mexico. When this comes out, we will be in Mexico. And I think this actually comes out on my birthday. Let's see, next Tuesday. Yeah, my birthday is next Tuesday and I am turning 32. So I thought it would be fun if we just did a quick episode going over kind of like the lessons, not even some of them were lessons, but just kind of like recap the past year and like things that I took away from it. Again, if you are a YouTuber or you prefer watching things, then you can watch this over on YouTube as well. My channel is just Kylie Nelson, and I think I have an AG. I should know what it's called, but it's like Kylie Nelson AG for Ambition and Grace. So slowly but surely also trying to get more content uploaded over there other than just my podcast episodes, because I think that kind of what it says, what goes around comes back around, and YouTube is definitely, I think this is the year for YouTube for sure. Especially with like not really knowing what's going on with TikTok. I had a call with my manager, like I have a bi-weekly call with my manager, and I asked her, I was like, is there anything happening, being said, anything about TikTok? She said, nope. So I was like, okay. So that's what's like, I'm kind of hesitant again, like putting out content, because I'm like, do I want to keep putting all my time and effort into that, or do I want to put time and effort into learning how to do YouTube? Okay, we are getting off track. Welcome to my brain. So I thought that we would just kind of like go through the year. I'm going to try to do, I should have taken notes and I didn't. But I feel like for the most part, I also wanted to have Travis do this episode with me, but that didn't end up working. I need to get this recorded and filmed so I can get this turned into Katie, because this is already a day late. Katie is my podcast editor, for her to get all of this updated so we can get this out on time properly for you on Tuesday. So let's do a little refresh. So I am currently 31, turning 32. Travis legit gaslit me into thinking that I was turning 33. The guy immediately was like, no, I'm turning 32. And he's like, no, babe, we're turning 33. And like, I'm not the one who's good at math. So I kind of went with it. But then I was like, wait, no, I'm for sure turning 32. So the year 32, I feel like was such a year of growth and evolution for me. And I hope I say this every year. Like, I want to grow and get better and to learn and evolve each year. Like, I don't want to stay the same. I don't want to work backwards. I feel like that's for your 20s. I remember when I turned 30, like, I was so excited to turn 30 because I finally felt like I had more confidence in knowing who I was. Like, I still make mistakes and I'm going to continue to make mistakes and, like, you live and you learn type of thing. But my 20s were such a hot mess, such a hot mess. And again, if you want to learn more about that, I have a whole YouTube video basically giving you, I think it's like a 20-30 minute video, just really breaking down my early 20s. And like I said, dumpster fire, hot mess express. It was pretty bad. But the good news is that we grew from that and we learned from those and we did not keep making the same mistakes over and over. I mean, we did a couple of times in the early 20s, but once we hit about 25 is when I felt a lot more confident in myself. And I think that's when like Orange Theory came in and like I had more of like an actual steady career, like being a head coach and just like working at a gym type of thing. And I was like more sure of myself. I had more confidence in myself and like what I had to offer to people. And that's when I kind of also feel like when I stopped looking for somebody to complete me, this was actually something that I heard in church, was to not look for somebody who completes you, but to look for somebody who complements you. Because in my early 20s, I for sure was all about like just trying to find somebody. I thought that like having the husband, like type of like having a husband was going to like make me and my daughter like this whole little family, when it was not good. Anyway, so 25 is when I was kind of finally like, okay, I don't need somebody, but like if somebody complements my life, then great. And then that's when Travis entered the picture. And I was 25 when I met Travis. So it was probably 24 then is when I like really started to feel a lot more confident. Anyway, so enter into my 30s. Like I just feel like the 30s are the best. I know that like people say that like the 40s are the best thing now, but truly like my 30s have been just at such a different like, I feel a lot more calm, I feel a lot more at peace. I also think that that's, like, years of therapy and, just, like, all of that back work as well, but I mean, don't get me wrong, there's different things, right? The like the comparison game and things like that. But like I feel so at peace and I'm very grateful for my life. And so let's just start back in a year ago in March. That is when Travis and I were doing the same exact thing that we're doing now, which is we were at LeBlanc. Um, for if you're curious, we're going to LeBlanc in Cabo, and it's a 5-star, 5 diamond resort, adults only. It is a little bit more expensive. This was a resort that I literally drove by the first time that I went to Mexico with a couple of girlfriends, and I was like, what? Like, it was a whole row of these beautiful looking resorts, and I had Googled it, and it was like one of those like bucket listings for me. And so, fast forward, like, very grateful that we're in a place now to where we can afford to go to this. I mean, don't get me wrong, we also get it on a Black Friday deal. So, still have to save money there. But it's beautiful. And so last year was the first year that we got to go, and it was just like 10 out of 10 experience there. I mean, from the resort being clean and beautiful to like the service, like everybody there was just so fantastic, all of the workers. But then the food, okay, do not get me started on the food in Mexico. I have been to resorts to where it was I would only eat a chicken quesadilla and chips and guac because the rest of the food was just fucking trash, like disgusting. But then enter in LeBlanc, and they are, like I said, they're all 7 of their restaurants that they have at the resort are fine dining. So Travis and I were both, I mean, even their buffet was just like so fresh and so good. So if you were looking for a like a bucket list or just a nice ass trip to go on to, definitely look into LeBlanc. They're part of Moon Palace, which is like I whatever. It's like a big try. What is that? What is that? I don't know. Anyways, it's a part of Moon Palace. But and they have family. That's what I was trying to say is that there's like some family options as well, but this is adults only. So last year we were able to go, and then this year we're like, okay, let's just make this a yearly thing where it's just like a trip that Travis and I go on. That's something that him and I that I learned at the end of the summer is something that I need to start making more of a priority, which we'll touch base on. Um, so we're going back there because when we started looking at other places, we were so worried that we were going to go somewhere and it wasn't going to be nearly as good as LeBlanc was, and that we were just going to be like pissed and huffing and puffing that we weren't at LeBlanc and like it wasn't the same experience. So we said, screw it, we're just going back to LeBlanc. So that is where we ended off in a year, or that's where we were a year ago. Sorry, my brain is like exhausted. I think I'm starting to get kind of like travel anxiety for multiple reasons. One, being gone for a week, and then just like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm putting so much pressure on myself of like the outfits. I ever since being like a content creator, a fashion influencer and whatnot, like I I don't know why it's this year. I think just because more of like I have a higher expectation for myself, and like I want to make sure that I'm helping you, and like especially if like people are going on vacation. I think that's one thing that I don't really talk about a lot is that like I really put so much pressure on myself in making sure that I'm doing my job and like helping you. And so yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. Like I can feel anxiety start to come into my chest, which I know is so silly, but it's like I want the outfits to serve. Like I want to feel good on this trip. And especially, which we'll talk about too, of like the whole up leveling and just like being more elevated. But then I also want to make sure that they're like outfits that like people can like, oh, I love that. And like they want to shop them too. So like I said, doing my job. So I definitely putting a lot of pressure on myself for that. But then just there's been so much weird shit happening with traveling lately. Like I'm not even going to say anything cuz I don't like speaking that stuff out loud, but there's just been a lot of weird shit happening. And so like I have a little bit of, a lot of anxiety from that. I'm going to be so for real. So like I've been picking at my cuticles, my poor little fingers. I've been like biting my lip. It's been a lot, but by the time that I'm recording this, I will safely be in Cabo and poolside enjoying the day. So, okay, back to a year ago. We were there. However, this is the time of where let's talk a little like health wellness, because truly, as much as I changed on the outside, like physically, my physical appearance, I feel like last year was so much inner work, like so much inner work. That's kind of when I hit the point of like being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Um, again, all I'm very grateful for all stages of my body. At the end of the day, my body is a vessel and it's got me up to this point in a very healthy manner. And so I'm very, very grateful. But I just remember being like so upset and frustrated of like getting dressed. It was like I would look in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself anymore. And again, I kind of, okay, I'm going to be so blunt and this like might rub people the wrong way, but I mean, I've said this for a long time of when I was scared to want to make a change with my body because again, I was so worried about pissing off people or offending people or making somebody uncomfortable of seeing my body change and them not want to follow me anymore because they can't relate to it. And it's just like it got to the point to where I had to say I don't give a shit about anybody else. Like, I need to do what's best for me. And I was, one, just not taking care of myself or my body by not working out. I was, like I said, we were drinking a lot more than what we are now. And it was just, it wasn't a good time. But like I said, I just so specifically, it was when we were in Mexico, is when I said to myself, like, I need to do something. Like, I do not recognize myself. I'm extremely uncomfortable in my body, and so like we need to do something. So it was after we got back from Mexico, is like I talked in my last episode, I couldn't film it because I had to do a super quick turnaround from Katie, the podcast editor. So if you want to listen to my 75 soft and like my tips and blah 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 and all that stuff, then you can go to the Spotify podcast or Apple and listen to the last episode. So I talk a little bit about more there. Yeah, but so that's when I was like, okay, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I need to do something about it. So enter of like me starting to watch, like monitoring what we're eating more significantly, significantly cut back on drinking. I don't want to keep talking about this because I feel like I've talked about it so much now, but I did significantly cut back. So that's when I started getting back into Orange Theory. So doing something, because like I said, it went to a point where I wasn't working out at all, like nothing. I like almost resented it. And then two, also I just got fucking lazy. Like let's be so for on it, so for real. Um so that is the first step. And then I think like taking that first step of wanting to take care of my physical self, or my physical self, like my physical part of myself. There were just things that were happening with I don't like talking too much about family stuff because that's like I share a lot of shit about my life, but I intentionally don't share things because I need to keep some things private. But we will just say that also during this time is when I started seeing my therapist that I've had the same therapist off and on for 11 years, like very, very grateful for that. And she's fantastic. So there were just some things that were happening that I was like, I need to go back to Patty and like, let's go back to the drawing board. And I grew so much from like those she blah, 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 words are so hard right now. Those short months that her and I like worked intensively together again, there was a lot that I took away from that whole thing as far as having to forgive people that you're probably never going to get an apology from. And also accepting that this is one of the big things, actually, even going into this year, but learning that you're going to outgrow people and you're going to outgrow people that are really, really important to you and people that you really love. It's such a weird thing of thinking of outgrowing certain people in your life, and it was uncomfortable, but it was necessary to kind of have that realization and to be comfortable with it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it took me like a couple of weeks to really wrap my head around it. But I felt so much lighter. Things made so much more sense. And it felt good. I feel like subconsciously I was holding on to a lot of resentment towards some people in my life who I love very much, but I had to work through that on my own and not necessarily work through it with them because I don't think that we could work through it together. And that's because of something of and again, this isn't like I'm better than this person or that person or anything, but like I pride myself on, like I started the podcast with, of constantly growing and changing and evolving and trying to become the best version of myself at this point. And a year from now, I hope that I can say that I sat down and like, holy shit, this year was the best year of growth and evolution, or, whatever that looks like. And so it's hard to have those conversations with people who aren't willing to put the same work in, or not even the same amount of work in as you, but just aren't willing to work on themselves maybe in the way that I have. And like I said, it's not me saying I'm better than you or X, Y, and Z, it's just in order to have a not a constructive, but I guess like if you in in order to have a constructive conversation to where you can both take something away from it, I feel like you both kind of need to one be open to it, and then two both have like the emotional like tools in your toolbox to be able to talk through it and work through it. And like I just that other person doesn't have it, and that's okay. I had to work through that. Like I said, we worked through like the whole little cycle of like being mad and then grieving it and then like accepting it. So that was something that was really really nice for me. Like I said, subconsciously, I think I was holding on to it and I didn't realize how much it was like actually affecting me. So I really worked through that. And like I said, just outgrowing people, and like that there are certain people in certain stages of your life and they're there for a reason. And I mean, it's hard for me because I'm somebody who doesn't like change. I don't like new people. I do, but I'm very protective. I'm one of the people that I don't give my trust. It's you have to earn my trust. And so it's really hard for me to make new friends because of that. Like I'm going to be so honest. Um so I don't like changing things and having new people, or like it's just that's a whole other topic again that I'm not like super comfortable talking about, but we will just say that last year was the year of growth for me. And like I said, going back to like the whole outgrowing thing of being comfortable, of outgrowing maybe certain people, certain situations, certain environments, and like being more comfortable with it, and that's a part of life. And it doesn't need to be this huge fucking deal or like this play out. Like it can just naturally subtly happen, and like that's okay. I do kind of feel like though this year I want to try to be a better friend and to like try to make more of an effort being a better friend, because especially now that business is like moving and grooving and I don't get a lot of downtime, especially throw in, again, I do have help with Izzy, but I will say like I carry a large part of it on my shoulders of taking, again, Trav helps me so much with that because we have Izzy the majority of the time. Just again, not no shade to her dad. It's just so she can have a steady schedule. And I'm choosing, like I want it to be that way. But yeah, it gets to the point to where it's like, getting up, going and doing my workouts in the morning, dropping Izzy off at school. I basically have from 8 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. to try to get all of my shit crammed in during the day for work, and then pick Izzy up, be her Uber. And then by the end of the night, like I'm exhausted. Okay. Like I'm exhausted. I'm somebody who needs to recharge by myself. I know that there's like other people who charge by being around other people, and I don't know how you do that. That could absolutely never be me. And so I just like by the end of the day, like I just want to get in bed and watch my shitty reality TV shows. And so that also can be a problem for building relationships and having relationships with other people, because you have to like put in the time and effort and energy, right? So that's something that I definitely want to try to work on this year, not just with my friendships, but with my husband, and trying to be a better wife and have that better work life balance. Because at the end of the last summer, like that was definitely a time that I actually like for the first time was like legitimately nervous for my marriage, of where Travis is like my biggest supporter. And like I've said this a million times, I would not be here today if it weren't for him being the person that I'm with and being so supportive. And like, oh, I've never gone to him and said, like, hey, I really want to do this. Like, he is the one who I'm like talking out loud and I'm talking myself out of it. And he's like, babe, you need to do this. Like, he is literally like I said, just my support person. But I think last year I definitely took that. I took a little bit too much advantage of that. And again, I'm naturally somebody who's all in or all out. And when I do something, like I'm going to fucking do it, and I'm going to do it to my best knowledge and like my best effort. And so last year was definitely a year, I think, too, of like where I got kind of like my first taste of what I deem as success. And so it's just, I want more of it. And so I really put my head down and was working as much as I could during the day, again, trying to get everything. And then Izzy's softball schedule gets Western in the summertime. It's insane. Like 2-a-day practices, games at night, games on the weekend. I mean, it's crazy in the summertime. So at the end of the summer, Trav and I had gone to dinner, and like I that was the first time in our marriage. We've been together for 7 years, where I was like, oh shit, like I could tell that he was like really hurting and feeling lonely. And again, I just kind of, I don't want to say I took advantage of it, but I just kind of had my blinders on of just like work, 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 work. And like, what can I keep doing to like being more successful? And like, and again, on my downtime, I was focusing on Izzy. And that was a big wake up call for me of like, okay, like we had those conversations. We had talked about this back a while in our, like, I think it was the last podcast episode that he was on with me. But yeah, I needed to have a better work life balance. And that was a conversation that we kind of like would have once a quarter probably. But then that third conversation at the end of the summer is when I was like, oh shit, like had that pit in my stomach. And I'm like, okay, I actually need to try to do something about this and like put more of an effort in. So, kind of even going back to like the friendships, it's hard trying to balance it all. It really is. Like when you see those memes on Instagram of like, what of like the little person in the house that's burning, and it's like me trying to drink all my water, do my workouts, work, be a wife, friend, mother, blah blah blah. That's how I felt last year. So this year I am trying to be better on like making better boundaries for me with work, with, not working on the weekends and things like that. But like I was saying with friends, it's hard to then, balance to where as a Christian, like our church has taught us that it's like there's God, your husband or wife, and then your kids. And so I definitely, it was like work, kid, husband, and then my relationship with God. So yeah, this year I'm trying to balance that a little bit better. That's a whole other topic. We're not going to talk about faith right now, but yeah, like I am somebody who necessarily like I don't love me like my version of spending time with God and going to church doesn't necessarily look like me actually going to the four walls at the church. Like I have a different version of that. And so I'm trying to be more intentional with that as well. But let's get into the whole fashion, like the uploving. That was so much fun. So I think this kind of all plays a part of like looking back now that like all the dots were kind of connecting together of where we like one, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I felt that stirring in my heart of like, we're made for more. Like, let's up level. It's time to do it. Let's go. So I started doing that with like taking care of myself mentally, changing up with, getting back into a workout like I talked about in the last episode. And then one, realizing that I needed to find a workout that actually brought me joy and that I wasn't leaving like feeling pissed off and huffing and puffing after, which was so dumb. So I quit Orange Theory, found other shit to do. Like I said, go back to my last episode and talk about it and listen to it. And we talk about it all over there. Um, but I feel like after we did the workouts and then I was doing the therapy, and then I think when you're taking care of yourself in those ways, like it just naturally progresses to leading to that next step of wanting to like have like my confidence was like increasing by the day, we'll just say. And so I felt like I needed my outward appearance wasn't matching the confidence that I was starting to feel on the inside with taking care of myself mentally and physically then. So enter in when I worked with Sam, the personal stylist, and that was so much fun. If you want more details about that, I believe I did do a whole blog post on that, but I've had Sam on before. I think I'll get Sam on again because this will be a lot more fun now that we're like almost a year past her and I working together, and just talking more about what that looks like. But that was so much fun. It is an investment. I'm just going to give you such a full warning. It's an investment, but I did the style VIP makeover, and I am very grateful that I did that because that's when she goes like full board, all hands on of like, you do your closet clean out, you do measurements of your body to figure out what your body is, your body shape. You go over what your style inspo is, and she puts together like a whole style inspo board for you. So I will and I also did a solo episode going over all of it too. So if you want to hear more about that, you can go back. It's probably like at the end. I don't know. We'll put it in the show notes for you. But anyways, I'll get her back on so we can kind of go through all of that. But having guidance, that was also such a big thing too. I would say that I'm not like very ego driven. Like I'm self aware. Actually, somebody just told me that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I actually agree with that. I'm pretty self aware. And so I have zero background in fashion at all, point blank, period. Like, it's funny when Tamar Hollander, like, you're around these other girls who are in fashion who are like, oh, like, I remember being a young girl and like flipping through Vogue, or like my mom dressing me up. And I'm like, I don't relate to that at all. Like, I was the girl wearing cargo pants and a giant oversized sweater trying to hide my boobs. Okay. Like, I was so self-conscious of my boobs because I got boobs before everybody else. So could not relate to that more. Um, so I was just, again, like with this whole journey of, I just started sharing my clothes that I felt good in, like after, not using my physical appearance for my confidence and switching over to my closet to find my confidence in. And I had that gentle whisper like over and over again to start sharing it online. And like fast forward to 4 years, like here we are. It's so crazy. So it is just fun to, and I love learning when there's something that I'm actually interested in. I love that. So working with Sam was so much fun, putting my ego to the side and saying like, okay, I know that it's funny that I'm a fashion influencer and I'm working with a personal stylist, but I can put my ego to the side and let's just fucking like learn how to dress better. Teach me all the things of like why you should wear a belt with that and not with this, and texture with that and not with that. Like, it was just so much fun. So I definitely feel like that was like another big piece of puzzle into what I did last year as well, of just like, again, putting the egos to the side but having fun with it. And I love sharing the journey too. That was something that I've also really had to work through with tapping. Again, I had again, my brain is such mush right now. You can probably tell with how slow I'm talking too. If you're listening to this on Spotify, this is such a side. I think you can do this on YouTube too, but you can make the podcast talk faster. So whenever I listen to podcasts, I always put it on 1.2 speed. Except when I listen to Shannon Ford, she already talks so fucking fast. So I'm like, whoa, she sounds like one of those little chipmunks. Last thing we'll touch on, and then we will be done because I need to go and take my daughter to get her choir dress. But it's about motherhood. I think one of the things that really hit me last year was, it's so funny. Well, and again, so many people know this, but I had my daughter when I was 18. The first 5 years of motherhood was really hard. Again, that's when I was like dealing with PTSD from the abuse from my childhood. Yeah, I had PTSD, but didn't know it. I didn't realize how traumatic my childhood was until getting into therapy when I was 19. I remember Izzy was like only a couple months old. So I had Izzy when I was 18. Or wait, yeah. So Izzy's birthday is in February and I was 18, and then my birthday is in March and then I turned 19. So I was only 18 for a month. But just like, one, dealing with PTSD, two, dealing with postpartum, like that was a whole other fucking story. And then being a teen mom, like it was just so much at once that I was dealing with that I didn't realize that I was dealing with, that I'm, thank God, literally by the grace of God, like helped me get through all of that, and not in a pretty way. It was ugly and messy, but we got through it. Um, but I just remember like being, a new mom and thinking like, holy shit, 18 years, like that sounds like 50 years. I couldn't imagine it. Looking back, it's just gone so fast. And now it makes me so sad. I think in the beginning, in the first few years, like you're just trying to get by. Like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're trying your best. And then you're trying to take care of not only yourself, but then like this little mini human. And so the first few years, like I said, it was so messy and so not pretty. And like that is one of my biggest regrets. I mean, I can't go back and do anything now. What I can only focus on is what I can control now. But it does just make me sad that I wasn't more present and I wasn't more in the moment and aware. Honestly, just being more present. I'm sad that I wasn't more present when she was younger. Like I said, it was just like you're in survival mode. Like you're just trying to fucking get the rent paid, or I was on food stamps for her, not birth control, her formula. And so like going to Walmart at midnight after I got done cocktailing to go and buy formula for her. Like, it was just such a wild ride, but we made it. And so I think now too, like, I'm just in such a more stable place in life now. And so I think my nervous system can like calm the fuck down. And two, of just like the therapy and like healing and growing and evolving. But I think definitely the thing that I have learned is that I want safety and stability. And those are two things that like I really want to make sure that I give my daughter because I didn't have that growing up and that's really important to me. But we're now in a place to where it is so like I love being a mom. I love being a mom. And I was not one of those people growing up who I honestly didn't even know if I didn't think about having kids like honestly. Um I but I'm in a place now like I said to where I can enjoy it and I can have fun with it and I'm very grateful that I can provide a stable, safe environment for my daughter, but that I'm also in a spot to where I'm busting my freaking ass to where I can go and do fun things with her and like we can go to Scottsdale for back to school shopping and things like that. And so now with her being 13, which is so weird to say, it's so weird having a teenager, but now with her being older and looking back and seeing how fast it went, now I'm just so much more present. And that's again kind of something that I was talking about earlier of like trying to find the work life balance of being a wife, being a mother, being a friend of like I mean, I'm kind of doing it to myself, but then I also look at it of like, I'm going to be 37 when Issy graduates high school. And so when, like I said, like was so putting everything into work and then being a mom, but then it's like, okay, then my husband came to me and was like, I need a little bit more. Like Travis doesn't ask for a lot. He really doesn't. But he came to me and was like, babe, I need like a little more. We have to find a better balance here. So then I already kind of felt spread thin there. So work, a husband, being a present mom who I only have 5 more years left, technically legally with my daughter. And so it doesn't leave like a lot of time. And then again, somebody who recharges, like I have to make sacrifices right now, I guess is what I'm saying. And I used to be that person again in my early 20s who spending time with friends was really, really, really important to me. And don't get me wrong, it still is incredibly important, I believe now, to like have other healthy relationships. I think my big takeaway from my early 20s to now is that I had a very big group of quote unquote friends. But I mean, I feel like anybody in their 30s will say this now, but like, I'm not that person who's going to say that I have 10 best friends. No, like, I have a group of 5 people probably who are like in my inner circle who I will give time to right now. It just got to a point to where I only have so much time and energy to give to people. And again, I had to go back and reassess of okay, like work, gonna find a little bit more balance there. But I mean, I think I keep repeating myself. But again, like my husband and my daughter are the two most important people in my life. And those are the people that I want to make sure, okay, there's this little bug. It's like a little gnat. But those are the two most important people that I want to give my time and energy to. And then like the 1 or 2 days a month, literally, that like I can squeeze in, then I will do that. And I'm okay with that. But like I said, like going back to motherhood of it just makes me so sad that I didn't appreciate those times more. And like right now, like I am just relishing in it. And even though like I don't think I complain. I just say like that life with Izzy's schedule gets so freaking busy and I just have to remind myself like I only have a few more years of this and even like in a couple of years of when she can start driving. So like realistically, I actually only have like 2 more years of like playing Uber and stuff like that unless she gets grounded or whatever happens. But I'm just rather than complaining about it, I'm just like trying to be in the moment cuz now I sound like a old lady because I feel like all the old ladies say that time got by or time goes by so fast, but it does and it makes me so sad. But I don't really know what the point of that was. I think I've just again like I don't know what the point of that was, but just with motherhood and just wanting to be present and learning to say yes and no and I don't know if respect is the word, but just like being more respectful of my time has been really important and my energy. And Like I said, I mean, what is really nice is that Travis is Travis is the social butterfly and like I'm the butterfly that's like, or actually I'm not even the butterfly, like I'm the caterpillar in my cocoon. Like don't fucking try to get me out of the cocoon, okay? And so it is nice cuz Travis is pretty good about like, okay, yeah, no, like we can stay home. But every once in a while, especially in the summertime when it's nice, it's like, okay, no, like let's just go and play a quick round of golf or something. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, you're right. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up because, like I said, I'm going to go and take my daughter to get her choir concert dress. But this was fun. I should have maybe taken a little bit more notes. I hope what I was saying made sense. I think it did. um, but yeah, I thought it'd be fun to kind of recap the year. I'm sure as I'm driving, like in 10 minutes, I'm going to be like, oh shit, I wanted to talk about this or that. But this is going to be just fine for right now. Next week, I don't remember. I don't know. My team and I went over like 8 weeks worth of content for this. I want to have some friends over. I want to have Trav on the podcast again. I want to have Jamie, the nurse practitioner who did my hormones. I think it'd be so interesting to have hormone chat on here. I also want to bring Dane back on. Well, not back on, but Dane, the registered dietitian Anna that we had on a few weeks ago, she works with Dane, and Dane's the one that owns the gym that I go to. And so just talking about all things health and wellness, about how important it is for us as women, especially to be working out. So we have some fun things in the pipeline. So I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to that. Like I said, we are growing and evolving. And I just have to say, I am so fucking proud of myself. It's so much fun. This week we were on the meeting with the brand designer who redid my logo and brand and all of that for me. And that's why I was just sitting there and I'm like, wow, this is so crazy. Because Liz, one of the gals that works for me, that's what, when I was like asking for their feedback and stuff of the logo, I'm like, does anybody have anything to say? And so Liz was like, I have, like, this is cool. Like, this totally aligns with like who you are today. And again, this is what I've always preached this, just fucking start. Like, you don't have to start when you can afford somebody to do your logo. My ambition and grace, my janky ass ambition and grace logo, I created on Canva for you, and it's so blurry and it's not it. But you know what? I did it, and I was able to build my business on a really shitty, blurry logo on Canva 4 years ago. And now, fast forward, we can afford somebody to do the logo. Honestly, I kind of forgot about it, but yeah, so I'm excited. So, welcome to the new and improved Ambition and Grace. I think I am going to try to do just like a super quick, like 10-second intro so we can have something. Um, yeah, but I appreciate you being here. I am so grateful that this is just like such a safe space that we can hang out, we can have girl chat, I can be honest. Like I said in my last episode, I feel like way more comfortable. I probably say more than I should, but I like being vulnerable and like and just to be like relatable. I'm sure there's something that you can be like, girl, I feel you. So, okay, we're going to wrap it up. Like I said, I'm probably in Mexico right now sipping a skinny margarita. That's my drink of choice. But happy birthday to me, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.